Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ari and today I wanted to talk a little bit about film school. So a lot of people debate whether film school is a good idea or a bad idea. So I went to film school for about 2 whole years and I learned a lot, some good stuff and some bad stuff. So full disclosure, I did not have to pay tuition because my financial aid covered that. So just take that into consideration of my opinion being slightly biased just on the fact that I didn't have to pay for it. However, I'm going to talk about tuition in a second. So let's talk about some of the good things that came with film school. For starters, I learned what I was good at and what I was bad at. So if you're one of those people that has no idea what you would like to do in film, this is a great opportunity for you to kind of explore the options that you have available to you. This will give you some idea of the kind of route that you would like to take. For me, I learned a lot about what I was bad at. So I sucked at the technical stuff, lighting and gaffing and pretty much anything that had to do technically. I was more attached to the story side of the film, so screenwriting, casting, I loved all of that stuff. So again, if you have no idea what route you would like to take, film school is a great opportunity for you to kind of explore the options that you might have. Because there's a lot of projects going on, you can get your feet wet in certain positions and see what you enjoy the most. The other thing I have to say was a big pro for going to film school was networking. Making connections is really hard for me just because I'm not a very outgoing person. I'm pretty reserved. So being forced to work in groups and coming up with ideas together kind of forced me into that environment of having to work with other people that I didn't know and people with different views and ideas like myself. And because you made these connections, sometimes there were cliques made, which was kind of very high schoolish. But the reality is that those cliques actually went on to make other films outside of school. And so a lot of your connections that you make in film school tend to carry on into the outside world and you end up working on projects just because it's fun. The next big perk that I got out of film school was having access to equipment. Equipment for filmmaking is incredibly expensive. And so in film school, they provide you with a ton of pricey equipment. Really expensive camera, expensive lighting, a lot of gear that you normally wouldn't have access to unless you have a big budget. Not only did we have access to this equipment, but obviously we got trained on how to use it properly, how to take care of it, and this gave us some exposure on working with other equipment that we normally wouldn't come across on our daily life. A lot of this equipment you would find on a normal big budget set, and so it was nice to be able to mess around with that equipment and learn how to use it properly. Another pro that comes with going to film school is being able to fail. From working with cameras to screenwriting mistakes, I made a ton of these mistakes in film school, which is a good thing because it's basically a place where you can make a ton of these mistakes and you're not making it on a real set. Your professors will teach you on what you did wrong and how you can improve, and it basically makes you a better filmmaker. So overall, just being in an environment where I could learn from my mistakes was a really big benefit for me. Now, naturally, with pros, there are cons. And the biggest con with film school is tuition. Now, tuition is obviously very expensive, and I'm talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. So unless you have thousands of dollars that you would like to invest into learning about film, then this is not a good option for you. It really varies on where you go. So you might go to college or you might go to a vocational place where these programs last sometime between 6 months to a year, sometimes longer, but you only really get like a certificate out of it versus if you go to college, you get a degree. But at the end of the day, it brings me to my next point that you can learn this kind of information on the internet. On YouTube, there are a bunch of tutorials from people basically teaching you how to use equipment and teaching you about filmmaking overall. From screenwriting to lighting to working with cameras, I've seen a ton of YouTube tutorials out there that are completely free because there are some good Samaritans in the world that are able to pass on their expertise for free 99. Now, because film is something that you can learn hands-on and with experience, that explains why there are so many successful filmmakers that don't have a degree or never went to film school. So what I'm basically saying with this is that you don't have to go to film school. Sure, I gained a ton of connections and I learned what I was good at and what I was bad at. But at the end of the day, I could have learned this information on YouTube. So if you're wondering whether film school is right for you, I would consider the question of whether or not you have to pay for it. If you have to pay for film school, I would not advise it just solely on the fact that there is so much free information on the internet right now that you can get for free. If you really wanted the experience of working with really expensive equipment, now I fully understand that, and I guess you would pay the price for doing that. But I personally wouldn't do that. As you make connections and you start working on projects on a basic level, you will end up working with more expensive equipment on different sets. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to connections, especially in film. So make as many connections as you can early on. You can go on Reddit, you can go on Facebook. There are a ton of groups that I've seen where locally people meet up as filmmakers and they're looking for casting or they're looking for people to work on their projects. It's also worth noting that in these projects, you're not gonna get paid. You're going to end up doing a lot of free work for a really long time before you actually get paid for it. Now, it's really up to you how soon you start getting paid for your work based on how much experience you start to accumulate. I personally never had a problem with working for free just because I knew I was getting a lot of experience out of it, but I eventually stopped doing it because I realized that working on a film set probably wasn't right for me. I guess I'm more focused on maybe the publicity that comes with movies and TVs, or maybe the journalism aspects of perhaps reviewing movies and stuff like that. But technically working on a set just wasn't my place. So again, if you're debating whether film school is right for you or not, really take into consideration how much money you're paying for it, whether you can afford it, and what you're trying to get out of it. If you're trying to get connections out of it, I would look online for maybe local communities, local film festivals. There are a ton of people who are learning their craft just on the same level that you are. What I've learned, especially on YouTube, is that you can make a movie with whatever you have. I think there was a movie that came out not too long ago, maybe called Tangerine, that won an award, and it was filmed on an iPhone. So that in itself basically tells you that there is no excuse for not making a movie and basically doing your own work. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't look at what other equipment people have. Never try to match the equipment that a person has, because just matching that equipment doesn't mean that you're gonna match the quality. These airplanes are killing me today. Quality is really what matters, and I'm talking about quality of your content, not the quality of your video. You can shoot it on your phone and make some quality content that really impacts people, that makes people feel things. That's what people love about film and TV shows, is that they make them feel something. So grab your phone and make somebody feel something. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions, drop a comment. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Make something.